Bonsai is about creating beautiful trees. Very often, people who keep a bonsai started off as a nice tree, but over a period of time, they lose interest or are not able to keep it in good condition. This is when we say that a bonsai has lost its way. So this cedar, I think it is a cedar of Lebanon, has definitely lost its way, and it's time for a makeover. So let's see what we can do with it. As you can see, it's in quite a nice round bonsai pot. It's got quite a nice twist and bend in it, but it looks as if a bird has just sat on top of it and flattened everything. So there's no real shape or form left in the tree. It hasn't been repotted for a while. I've had a look, so let's have a look again. You can see that it's very pot bound, but tree at this angle doesn't quite look right. In fact, if you just turned it this way, you will be able to see the trunk much better. And in fact, there is a case also of replanting the tree at this angle so that you get a much better trunk line on the tree. So straight away you will see that this tree can be improved very considerably just by doing a few things. What is defective on this tree, as I said earlier on, is that it's got a flat top as it is. It doesn't look anything like a bonsai. So by turning the tree we can get a better angle. So we will use this as the new angle of the tree so that the trunk line is more visible and better. That's a very nice branch, but this branch somehow has died, so I think we can get it off. There's no point even making a gin out of that. But the other defect of this tree is that many of the branches have become far too thick. And with bonsai, we really need thinner branches to give it scale, because with thin branches, they will contrast with the trunk much better and they will make the trunk look thicker. So we will think what we do with these thick branches, whether we make them into gins or get rid of it completely, because I think the trunk line here is far more interesting. So I think this branch here is not doing very much. I need to consider whether I need this or not. Also, it's a bit congested at the back. Congested, so let us remove a few of these branches and see what happens. This off. I make a sloping cut at the back, about halfway or a third of the way into the branch, and then I break it and then rip it off. In fact, if we begin by wiring them, it'll give us a better idea as to how this tree will pan out. So I'm using 3mm wire. The thickness of wire is really determined by how flexible the branches are. There's no hard and fast rule which says that you've got to use a certain gauge of wire for a certain diameter branch or trunk, because different species have different flexibility. The species have different flexibility and the age of the tree has different flexibility. See, the older the branch or trunk, the harder it is to bend. And if I can remind those of you who have never wired before, that we always use one piece of wire to wire two branches, which we call the two-branch principle. So the bottom 3 branches we've now established. We then need to decide what the next branches are going to be. I still am looking at this as the future trunk line. This could certainly be kept as a gin feature for now. You can certainly take your time to do this. You don't have to rush this. You can spend hours, you can spend days refining gins, but the object of my videos is really to show you the principle and how you tackle this. The refinement you can do at your own leisure. I will now decide what else to keep. I'll keep that for now. I won't cut everything off too soon in case I might regret doing that. I think this piece here is going in the wrong direction, because coming back here, this makes a better line like this. So I will probably make a gin with these 2 features. Can refine the gin. We make these little cuts. Once you've decided the front of the tree, the gins and other driftwood features are always better in the front. It's no point having these beautiful gin features where you can't see it and keeping it at the back of the tree. So these 2 thick branches that I have removed have become gin features because I felt that they were out of proportion. They were not in keeping with the general thickness of the trunk. See, that's a very nice trunk line going like that. I've decided to do this. So I'm going to wire this branch and then the potential apex. This cedar bonsai is really a piece of raw material because it's become so unkempt that you very often come across plants like this in nurseries and garden centers which are not sold as bonsai but just as ordinary garden trees. So you do find material of this quality if you look around carefully in garden centers. Unfortunately, in British garden centers nowadays, there are very few nurseries that sell large conifers. They mainly sell conifers for hedging plants, which are the Leylandii, Chamaecyparis leylandii, or they sell very large trees which are really for growing as hedges and other large garden feature trees. So they don't have these multiplicity of branches that you get with this tree. See, we could have taken the trunk line that way, this way, but I think it's better to take the trunk line this way and bring this down this way. The design of most bonsai is a conical shape, so as long as you make the tree conical, it should work. So I'm going to wire these two branches. You notice that I'm always looking for pairs to wire, always wire in pairs. So I've got those branches there. Now the other question is, should I use this branch? This is a thick branch and very, very long. Let's see what happens if I just shorten it and tighten it up, whether I can use it or not. I think those look better there. Let's wire this one. I'm keeping this as a back branch so that I get some depth in the tree. It's rather thick, but if I were to remove it, it would leave a big space and a big gap. So I will rather keep this than remove it. Taking it around that thicker branch so that it gives support to the two little branches that I'm wiring. Wiring requires practice. The more you do wiring, the better you get at it. But try and develop neat looking wiring. If wiring is untidy, it makes the entire tree look untidy. And again, do a little zigzag with the wire, make it more interesting. So I've got that effect. And I think we'll wire these two to give it depth. Rather than chuck it out, let's wire these two. We always return to the front to see what the tree looks like. I haven't got the picture of the original tree to compare with, but I dare say it must have changed quite a bit since we started. And in real time, I don't think I worked on this for more than 10 minutes. And we're already at this stage, which looks more like a bonsai. I still have to decide what to do with that thick branch, whether to keep it or not. Let's reduce a little bit more. I think it's out of scale with the rest of the taper. Although I could keep it as a sacrificial to thicken that part. A sacrificial is a branch that you keep for the time being, but in the long term it will be removed, and it's only used for thickening certain parts of the tree. I could do that. But let me wire the rest of the tree to see how it turns out. A good tip for getting a perspective of the tree is to stand back. If you stand far back, you get a much better view and perspective of what you're doing. If you're standing too close to the tree, you're not able to get an overall impression of what you're creating. Take decisions, but very often it's better to wait a bit and reflect before you take the decision. But I've also known people who take months, if not years, to decide which branch to cut. That's the other extreme. But as long as you enjoy it and take your time to decide, nothing wrong with that. Put those branches in position. I will repot this tree, maybe in another pot, but because this is not the right season to do it, I might leave it to the spring. But this, I think, is the finished article for now. I think we worked only about 15 minutes, and in 15 minutes we've managed to transform this tree quite a bit. And as you can see, the amount of material we have got rid of